I've had this tank for a few years. It's been growing well, but I always struggled with carpeting plants. Is this Hygger 957 going to be enough to grow the carpet plants that I want? What's up, Aqualusters? Today we're going to tackle three big things. Is this light strong enough to grow that carpet that I want? Is this light easy to use and has the functions I need? And most importantly, is it in my budget? So I'm going to go over some pros and cons of the light, and I've used it for the last 4 months, and let's jump right in. Despite my best efforts, I had a problem growing Monte Carlo and hairgrass as a carpet on the bottom of the tank. This is a high-tech tank, CO2 injected, fertilizers, root tabs, pH controller for the CO2, everything dialed in except the light. I'm asking a lot for this light. This is a 40 breeder, so that's 18 inches tall, plus the light is mounted above the tank. This makes carpeting plants even harder, as it's harder for the light to carry the distance and pass through the water and be strong enough for the plants to thrive. When Hygger contacted me to do a review on this light, I knew I had the perfect test. They sent it to me for free, so if this does work, this could really save me some dropping some serious cash on a high-end light. At under $70 in February of 2025, this light could be a game changer. You could buy 2 of these for the cost of one high-end light, probably even less. The light we're looking at today is their 36 to 48 inch light. I like my light all the way across the tank, so I'm using the 60W version at 36 inch width. They make lights up to 52 and as small as 12, all at the same sort of control, so this will cover the operation of those lights also. I've had this light, like I said, running on this tank for about 4 months now, and you really need to give a light time to see the progress and the growth in order to really judge its performance. Just slapping a light on a tank isn't really a review. The setup is super simple. You plug it in, you set the clock, you select 12 or 24 hours, and it's done. It runs a 24-hour cycle with a night and daytime light all throughout the day with a total of about 17 hours, which is a little bit much. The good news is that in that standard mode, your sunrise and sunset time is adjustable. It also runs a night light, which I recommend turning off. It's really just for aesthetics more than anything. It's cool every now and then, but part of your everyday operation of the light, I recommend just setting a photo period that works for you. Mine is set to go on at 12 o'clock and off at 8 o'clock, so I can see it at night when I come home. A nice thing is that it still uses the sunrise and sunset, so it's about 6 hours of a total 100% intensity, and then still has the light turning on gradually and off gradually. A nice thing about that is that it's less likely to spook your fish with the light snapping on or just snapping off. They could swim into the side of the tank or decor and become injured. One thing to note is that you can't adjust the individual RGBW channels on this light. Some may see this as a downside, but personally, I think that most people just screw this thing up, and it's better that it's already optimized, and really just setting the intensity is all we need to do. So one of the pros is that spectrum is already optimized for growing plants. I own other Hygger lights and they grow some really great plants. The light has the preset colors in it, so you can pick one for that special effect when you want to just chill out with your tank and really get a nice look going on. Often I use the yellow with the sunrise effect in the tank using the amber background too. Now, just to be noted, the background of the tank is not part of this light. I just think that lighting aesthetics for a tank can really be a game changer, and that's something to think about. Is also, if you're using a backlight, is how much intensity. It could be a little bit too much. So obviously a con is if you love to fine tune those colors, you're out of luck in this. But let's be real. Most of us don't own a spectrum analyzer or a par meter, so adjusting this isn't really the best option. What's nice though is that anytime you can go to the tank and change the color of the light or the intensity and not disturb the timer of the tank. This is a big step up from some of the other Hygger brand lights where once you make a change, that is part of the program. Another con is that in the standard mode, the adjustability of intensity is not adjustable. So the way I have it set is with the sunrise and sunset with 6 hours at 100% intensity. And this might be too much for a lot of tanks, especially a low-tech tank. But fortunately, they have a DIY mode where you can set your own intensity levels. In that DIY mode, it has 8 adjustable points. Those 8 adjustable points, the last 2, L7 and L8, are just for nighttime settings. The first 1 through 6 are for your daytime settings. You can use as little or as many of these settings as you want. It can be run in full manual mode, but you can only turn it on and off by pressing the button on it. And unfortunately, it won't work on a switched outlet, say a Wi-Fi timer outlet. and it's not going to turn back on because you have to reset the clock. So with all this adjustability, you can control the brightness levels so you can fine tune it for your tank. I'm not going to go through every single adjustment on this tank in this video. In the future, I'll put a link up here about making a controls video just for this light, because I'll probably bore you to death if we went through that right now. But read the manual, trust me, it really helps. So how did it perform? On day one, my plants were pearling. That means they were photosynthesizing like crazy, putting oxygen bubbles out in the water. I had made no other changes. It was the same CO2, same fertilizer, just replaced the light. This was a real positive sign, as the plants never did this for me before with the old light. So now I adjust my CO2 and my fertilizers to the stronger light, and I get myself 3 pots of dwarf hairgrass from Aquarium Co-op and plant it throughout the tank. It's been about 3 months now, and it's really grown in pretty well. And other than me ripping out a big Bucephalandra plant from the middle of the tank and upsetting the carpet, it's really been growing in well. I really got to get on to trimming that carpet more regularly, because that'll help it get established and send out more runners. Just been kind of super busy, been slacking on that, but I'll get back to it, and I'm sure that it'll fill in really good. So going forward, I'm going to use a DIY mode set to 80% for that 6-hour period. It's just a little too much light for me, so I think that the 80% will be perfect. So now with the same sunrise and sunset at 80% total, I think I get this tank really dialed in. So my final thoughts, is it worth it? The light is plenty strong, even with it being suspended above the tank. I've got plants pearling, everything's running great, and I'm even having to turn it down. So it's definitely pretty strong. And it's pretty easy to use. You set that clock and you go, or you fine tune it into your needs. And as for budget, I don't think you can ask for more. For under $70 in 2025, this is a really good light. Like I said earlier, you could probably buy 2 of these lights for the price of 1 premium light, if not even less. Some of the cons about it is that the display doesn't turn off. So if it's in your bedroom, this could be an issue. This is in my living room, so it doesn't bother me, but I see that being a problem if this was a bedroom tank. If it's unplugged, it loses the clock settings. It does not, however, lose your preset settings, so you won't lose your curve or whatever settings you have the light set up currently. It'll save all that. You just got to reset the clock. If that's all that I really have to say bad about this light, I really think this light is a win. My plants are thriving. The boost has got great colors. I can't really ask for more. But what you could let me know is, what do you think? Should I change the moss on the trees to Monte Carlo now that I got a nice strong light in there? Or should I leave that moss? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, Aqualusters. See you soon.